in just 6 months, I saw new muscles in my forearms I never had seen before. My forearms, grip, and arm development in general has gone to like on another level, not just aesthetically, but also when it comes to performance.
It increases from within, like even the whole bone structure starts to get changed. All the mace movement trains the shoulder, the center of the arm, biceps, you can even train the triceps, and then it trains the forearms. Like the entire thing just starts to like morph.
People cannot even imagine how hard is it to even hold the club like this.
I added lever to it, and now the forces and especially the torque force increases so much that it's insane. Within 1 year, we've been able to like take this into very high level. Like we have multiple different exercises that we develop, multiple different ways, and we combined this with our previous knowledge of the human body, which is already like on a very in-depth level.
This should be something every martial artist should be using, and every athlete also. No matter the level, whether you're beginner or professional, like the highest level.
And I think there's tons of people who are also waking up to this reality that it's much better to have like real, solid, rigid functionality in your body, and then also have the muscles and the looks on top of that. For the past year, I've had this like growing addiction, and it's just has been getting worse over the year. And this addiction has been into certain training equipment. So like nearly maybe around a year ago, I first, just out of curiosity, I got myself this steel mace and these little club balls. And this was like, I was not expecting any particular results. I just like saw it online and thought, this might be something that is useful. But it completely blew away my mind, like ever since like training with it, because the results were just so unbelievable, and something that I actually hadn't seen with my training in many years. Like this was the biggest change that I've had, or biggest transformation that I experienced like since many years in my training. And I've done all sorts of training, and adding these couple of equipments to my routines, and also even a bit later on the sandbag, thanks to Samuli's inspiration, my body went through like a pretty big change in terms of also, let's say, the looks is one thing. There's also the size gain in certain areas of the body, and even the performance gain that I could see in, for example, in sports or martial arts, and also the transference to regular strength exercises like squats and even calisthenics exercises. So with these equipments was like absolutely mind-blowing results. And now I'm just like hooked, and I need to keep like training more and more with this equipment.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat because I couldn't expect the benefits or the effectiveness or any of this either, because of course over the years I saw some people doing sometimes clubs, and I saw clubs in our gym as well sometime and like this, but I was never really excited to try them, never really excited to see if they work or like this. But like Eero said, he just out of curiosity tried the mace. Then I also tried it and I got hooked. And then I also tried the clubs and I got hooked, because just after like a little bit of training, I could feel the benefits. Like in the beginning, my hands and forearms were burning like never before, and they were sore for like 2 weeks. So it was like unbelievable, like results and like a sensation in my muscles I never had before. And bear in mind that I have been training my forearms and grip for over a decade, because when I first started training, I was really into like arm wrestling stuff and also the Shaolin techniques. Like most of like 72 skills of Shaolin, they have like so many different grip strength exercises and hand toughening exercises in those. So I tried all of them. I also had the captain of grass grippers and all these different tools for training the forearms. So I was not new to any form of grip strength training or forearm training, but still, despite everything I did, I never really got amazing results in my forearms. Like Eero always had much bigger and more defined forearms because he was doing some muscle ups and some other exercises in the past, but I never got really amazing results. But once I really got into maces and clubs, my it's just like day and night difference. Like in just 6 months, I saw new muscles in my forearms I never had seen before. And my arms have gotten so much more defined. My forearms, like maybe it doesn't see in the picture.
But that's the thing; it doesn't show like necessarily from video or something. But I can see in real life, it's like
and of course I have
super clear.
pictures and some video with better like angle.
Yeah.
It can show like it's like super defined. Like even if because I'm a single now and I date some girls, like 2 girls in just past 2 months have like praised my arms. Like it's like, whoa, your arms are so good. Like it's like what? And it has never happened before.
Yeah.
So it's like very strange. But yeah, so we have been working on these tools for the past 1 year, and my forearms, grip, and arm development in general has like gone to like on another level. Not just aesthetically, but also when it comes to performance and everything else.
Right, and this growth. Okay, we were just talking about arms like here, but it's kind of fun. You not only increase like just your bicep, like you have this peak of a bicep, you increase the entire arm. Like this, is how I feel like it increases from within. Like even the whole bone structure starts to get changed. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's sometimes difficult to even perceive. Like, what I'm talking about, from my perspective, I look at my arms, I'm like, well, it's just normal arms, right? But then some other person from outside sees them, and he's like, for him, it's like, whoa, that's like, it looks like it's something. But I'm kind of used to it, and if I were to just like try to isolate my bicep and train it, then I could maybe see like, okay, there's the visible like bulges, it's increasing. But now because the entire arm structure is increasing, there's really nothing that you can like separate just one area. It's from the shoulder area upwards, because all the mace movement trains the shoulder, it trains the center of the arm, the biceps, you can even train the triceps, and then it trains the forearms. Like the entire thing just starts to like morph bigger. And
I have seen like Eero has developed also new muscles in the forearms. Like he has very visible the pronator muscle. Like it's like it looks like a tumor, but that's how it looks when it's very well developed.
Yeah, because I certainly had forearm development. Like there was some guys like commenting I had like big forearms, but like you said, you had some comments from women like, my fiance, she's kind of used to my muscles, so she never comments them. But it's just like in this past like month or so, she like 3 times, she was like, said like, this looks stronger. That the forearm looks strong. And I was like, what? She never comments my muscles. I'm like, wait, like usually so. And she said like, yeah, it looks strong, and it also feels different. Like even because the texture and the tone is so different in the muscles. For example, the inside of the arm. So this is like not you could be thinking like you're imagining these changes, but it's not. It's like there, and even other people are noticing it. And like Samuli said, I had some development for sure, like in my forearms, but now it's like a tennis ball, like a real tennis ball. And especially also what has happened is my left arm used to be quite a lot smaller always, especially the forearm. And now they balanced out quite a lot. So I have in both sides, there's like a good bulge, and someone mentioned the pronator muscle is also like coming out there. So that is like quite substantial development, because like you said, we've been training. Like we are not like beginners in the training world. Like 10 years of training, different type of stuff, different type of also grip training. And so this was, but yeah, I think one of the reasons that I even got so good results was that I just liked it so much. Like I already told in the beginning, it's kind of addictive. Like I want to do it like constantly and develop because it's not only that you have different personalities. You can just like train more linear movements, but there's also this certain like a skill aspect, which I really like. You can just kind of keep increasing even
like
the
flow
skill.
aspect.
Yeah, in the flow of it. And this is one of the reasons why I even first place got the curiosity to it. And I had no idea that it would build such gains. But I just thought like this is a nice equipment that you can master actually the control of the body and the coordination. But would be foolish to think that it would not cause any changes in the body.
And one of the big reasons why our like forearm and grip development was, I think it was not lacking in comparison to everyone else, because nobody has, only with the exception of maybe arm wrestlers, like nobody has good and proper hand and forearm development. But one of the big reasons why it was lacking for us in the big picture, it was because our training was very body weight oriented. And although body weight training has amazing benefits for many parts of the body, it's still very limited when it comes to your grip and forearms. Even if you do muscle ups and false grip pull-ups and even rock climbing, it's still not training your grip and forearms to their maximum potential, because these hands are very sophisticated instruments. They can do so many different things, and they can have so much strength in many different positions. And only with the tools like clubs and maces, you really put the hands and forearms into you really test their capacity and their potential for strength, because it's really like people cannot even imagine how hard is it to even hold the club like this in the beginning.
Precisely.
Because it's because the club tries to lean to left, right, forward and backwards. So you have to stabilize it always. And then when you do these movements, you have to grip it very hard because the handle is very thick also. So all these things combined, like the dynamic nature of the tool, the thickness of the grip, and also the stabilization factor and the mobility factor and everything else, and it's not the only tool. It's together with the mace, together with the sandbags and everything else, that's how you develop the ultimate and the fullest potential in your forearms and grip. And even bodybuilders, they have very limited, they just do the forearm girls like pronation and supination, and that's it.
Yeah, and these are good stuff, but
the wrist flexion and the flex.
But I think most
extension
bodybuilders neglect even that to an extent. And
most everyone in the fitness neglects it a lot, because now when I see people online or in the gym, you always see even if they're very serious guys in the fitness sphere, they have usually very good bicep development, very good tricep development, very strong shoulders and everything else. But then you look at the forearm, it's tiny, and their hands look like baby hands.
Yeah. But it's part of this is that you mentioned, some of the reasons why we even ignore it or maybe the development. But one of it was even purposefully, for me, oftentimes when I was training, let's say the back, or I was training bicep, I had this idea, okay, I want to minimize my wrist, I want to minimize my forearms, because they are kind of away, you don't want to use them. You want to just use the bicep, for example, and try to even let the wrist relax, or even if you're doing bench press or something, you can kind of let just the bar be here, and you try to not really focus too much on the forearm area. You actually there's this also tendency to consciously even try to not get rid of, but minimize even the activation of the forearm to an extent. I don't know why this is, but it's just kind of
in the fitness industry, they even use the straps and everything. So they don't even want to use their grip.
Actually, luckily I never had that, and I think that was one of the reasons why I even grew my forearms without doing to an extent I grew them without doing any specific training, because when I was beginning my training and doing the calisthenics or doing even heavy deadlifts or something like this, heavy rows, I never used the wraps. It just felt foolish. And also because my back muscles, I had such bad connection to them. The reason I used more my arms and my forearms. Even doing pull-ups or something, I was just using my arms a lot. So there was kind of it was partly this, I don't say lucky, but there was this tendency towards that I was using more of these muscles, which is why they got developed. For most people, if you don't focus on the forearms, they don't get so much developed. For me, it got because they were stronger muscle group to begin with.
And I was the opposite. For me, the back just grows and grows very easily, but it was very hard for me to grow the
precisely.
forearms.
So that's why it's only the people that kind of get lucky. They have already because some people have better genetics for the forearms, that's for sure, and they just and some people have that better connection to them immediately, and they can maybe grow it. But for most other people, this is why you don't see great forearms, because for most people this is not the case. You don't train your forearms in a good manner without focusing on them separately. And even for me, who had like some development, it was like a difference between night and day when I actually started to focus on them with this cup training.
And the funny thing here is that like the forearms and grip is the least trained area, or one of the least trained areas in the body, when in reality it's the most important. I think it's the most important area to train if you really want to have real functionality and real practicality, because there's no functionality without strong grip and strong forearms. Like it doesn't exist. It's like, yeah,
you can't grab onto anything. I mean, you can create functionality with your legs.
But that's another thing. Like there's no real functionality without strong ankles and calves either. So these end points of the body are really one of the secret to really develop in the body to the highest level when it comes to functionality.
Yeah, the springiness, like the Achilles tendons and everything like that, that's where it comes to this power. But this is true, like these are the areas that are I think most of them neglected.
Calves, nobody trains calves or ankles, and nobody trains grip or forearms.
Yeah, but even though they make like such a tremendous effect, and like you can, I don't know, like what made this thing, like you think like the arms, they are not functional or something like that. Like this is the stuff that, grips on the things. This is how you, like climb, this is how you grab on the people, like, and the stronger you have it, the more in a way you can also be stronger in other movements. Like this is the thing, like you mentioned here. It's one of the most important stuff. And in the training, when I was doing rows or some other people are doing rows, they think that, my grip is getting tired. So that's the limiting thing. So now I want to lessen the activation here so that I could perform more of the strength exercises. Whereas in reality, you should train your grip so much that you no longer notice it when you're doing other strength exercises. Like if I now do like rows, my grip is not the thing that starts to get tired. Even if I do like really high volume set, like just going for it or something like this, now I get the back muscles is the first thing that starts to get tired. Like you should develop your grip so strong that it's not in the way of your progress, and not try to like change or like fix this problem by taking away the forearm. Like fix the issue of not having enough strength by actually increasing the strength in the arms.
Yeah, and you should make choices in favor of the grip. What I mean is that if you do deadlifts, don't use the mixed grip. Use the regular conventional grip.
Right.
And if you want to train heavy, just forget about it if you cannot hold on to the bar. So don't use straps either. And even better, if you want to do any barbell exercise, get some fat grips that make the bar even thicker. So it's even harder for your forearms. So right now, whether we train with the maces or clubs or barbells or anything, we actually want to make the exercise as challenging for the grip as possible.
Yeah.
Or maybe not as possible, but we wanted to train the forearms and grip every time we train. And like that's one of the secrets.
Yeah, of course you don't try to make it so that, it's so difficult that you can't like perform the exercise. But it's just like it doesn't bother us that actually the grips and forearms get work.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah.
And actually I don't even like the regular thickness of the barbell or dumbbell anymore because it's so small. So I rather grab like a really thick something and do some exercises with it.
And I wanted to show because someone was like talking about this and really like mentioning like how it's people don't understand that just holding this stuff here in your arm. This is like you can see it just wants to pretty much constantly try to fall on one place or the other. And the real magic here is in the lever. Like this isn't too heavy. This is like 5 kilo, 5 to 6 kilos, right? And if you have just a dumbbell here, it's kind of basic weight. Like you'd be like, lightweight. But when you change the form of it and you change the length of it, it becomes a whole different thing. And this is what I sometimes explain is that, if you have here like everything is centered, it feels like it's nothing. But then if I put it here, like, and I grab it from this end or from the very end of it, it's like, it's incredibly heavy equipment. And the weight didn't change at all. But the only thing that changed was the lever. I added lever to it. And now the forces, and especially the torque force, increases so much that it's insane. So that is really the effectiveness of these mazes, and it's kind of there as a kind of a secret. It's kind of behind the veil, because when I first look at this, and even Samuli said, people don't see the effectiveness, people don't see the difficulty, and I did not see that at all. I could not like imagine that this is like strength training. I was more like, oh, yeah, this is like cool, some skill training, get some mobility for your shoulders, but the strength effect is so like dramatic.
Like we would consider this much better than dumbbells, and much better. Like it's like so much better.
Well, yeah,
for functional and athletic.
Yeah, for
results.
precisely for like this functional.
And if people don't know, like this is the Indian club bell. It's called Mukdar, and it's thousands of years old. Like even I think in some areas of India, 2,000 years ago, every household had this as a training tool. So it's like super popular. And if you look at the history of human beings, like utilizing different tools with your hands, it's the most ancient, the most primitive thing you can do. It's the one of the most primal things you can do. Like nowadays, when people think of primal training, they just think of animal movements and bodyweight training. But that's only one part. Like if you go back like 100,000 years ago, when there were like the first Homo sapiens and the cavemen and like this, even back then they utilized some different tools, like different sticks and rocks, and they learned to maybe build some basic houses or just use some tools for different purposes. But after that, like 10,000 of years later, when it was the first, like the Stone Age, then it was the Copper Age and the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, and now we are in the Steel Age and like this. So over all of these millenniums or millennia, we have used different tools, not just for agriculture and building houses, but also for war. So it's very deeply ingrained in our DNA, in our genes, to be able to use these different asymmetrical tools which have like leverage. So we have been, it's ingrained in us to use these tools, to not just, to get some benefit, but also to develop the body.
Yeah, it's difficult to say like at which point actually these people start to use them as separate.
But even like some monkeys sometimes use some stuff.
Yeah. No, but I mean like they used it as an actual like a real tool, but as in like a training equipment. But then again, if you think like they had like probably the spears were probably really thick, and if you made like some mace or clubs to fight, they were probably also like pretty like thick stuff. Like you couldn't make it like very like what is this, narrow or something like this, because it would break. So you need to really like swing like heavy stuff. And even though it wasn't maybe training, like exercising in the beginning, but people
of course
still,
it was not exercising, but except in the India 2,000 years ago.
Indian
but for the most part, they didn't have to do it for exercise.
Yeah.
But the problem with today is that, let's say that I used to work as a lumberjack because my father is a lumberjack. So I did use different tools like saws and stuff like this to cut trees. And I was also lifting logs and like this. But I was like an exception. Like the vast majority of people, they never do anything with their hands anymore because there's no need to. Like this is the modern day. Like you just pick up your phone and pick up your fork and knife and that's it. But that's why it's even more important to exercise with tools which have been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, and I think the entire, the arm and the grip and all of that, I think it's tied into like the overall actual health of your body. Even your grip strength is somehow related to the like how healthy your heart is, like how old you are actually. Because people when they get older, they lose their grip strength actually. Partly because they don't never trained it, but it's also like a sign that they're actually getting like severely weaker.
And it's a sign of testosterone also.
Oh yeah, like it signifies so many things. And I think, but just training it, you're maintaining that certain like vitality and like let's say nerve strength that you have in your body, and even the hormone like strength, I would say like force production in general, like you're maintaining the ability for that. Because now oftentimes where I'm measuring the effects and the benefits is through martial arts, especially in the wrestling, because, for example, the sandbag is something, you grab it, it's very similar as if you were grabbing another person. And like you can toss it around, throw it around, and you get amazing functional strength to actually also do that to other people. But this isn't the only benefit. It's not like in the martial arts or wrestling or grappling area where like we really like to experience that. But the effect of this, of training the grip and maintaining that and training with this uneven equipment is outside of the gym as well. Like all the stuff, you're lifting your children, or you're lifting some groceries, you're lifting whatever, some equipment at your home, because these are all uneven stuff. And at the same time, the benefit is within the gym in regular strength exercises. If you're able to do like heavy sandbag squats, that's probably going to help you perform your back squat and front squats in a much better manner, because the sandbag makes it like usually much more difficult, much more challenging. And the activation actually in the hip muscles is also quite unique. This is what I noticed, is that you get a much better hip activation, glute activation almost automatically if you use the sandbag in front of the body. And I think like you had also like a really big experience with this.
Yeah, especially the sandbag has been one of the most impactful training tools for my lower back and the general hip region after Athlete 20XX since ever. Like because the sandbag, because it really like hangs on yourself. Like it's not like a fixed object. It is like a fixed object, but not like a dumbbell. So it really like molds into your body, and also due to the size and the shape of the bag, you also have to carry it relatively low to your body. So when you do like squats or deadlifts, it just goes so much deeper into your hip region and lower back, because there's no this distance between your hip and lower and upper body in comparison to like back squat or front squat. Because I've been doing like front squats for 10 years. And back squat also, and it hasn't been a very effective exercise for me for a very long time, because there's just too much space and distance between the bar and my hip region. So now when I started training with the sandbag, suddenly I just felt so much more engagement and so much more stimulus in my lower back and glutes and inner thighs as well, because the weight and the center of mass is just located so close to my hips that it's impossible to like my spine or my upper body or my arms to even like to affect the stimulus over there.
Yeah, that was actually well explained, because it's not carried, how to say, like on top of your torso. It's carried like here. It's very close.
Yeah.
And the other factor, I think, is just because what you maybe already touched on there is that the weight, if you have the barbell or something, it is like all the weight is nearly like close to your body. It's very close to your body. If you have the sandbag, the weight is away from your body. Like if you have a sandbag here, it really comes very far from your body. So even if you were just standing still with the sandbag, what I know this, it engages the muscles like crazy, like in the glutes, in the hamstrings, because if you don't engage them and the weight is in front of your body, you will just fall over. If you have a barbell behind your back, it's just pressing you downwards, so you can still stand. But if you're holding a weight here, you have something like really huge weight in front of your body, then it will try to, of course, tip you over. And this is something that you also notice when I noticed. One of the reasons for the great hip activation is because it's constantly pulling you forward. And if it's pulling you constantly forward, you constantly need to also pull back and stabilize with the muscles in your hips, and also the lower back, and even to an extent upper back, depends on which kind of posture you're choosing. But this was some very unique features that came with this type of training. And for me, the problem here is that I think this is kind of like strongman training, right? Like strongmen lift Atlas stones, but the sandbag is just a very convenient way to do it. It's very cheap. It's you can feel it easily. It's a little bit easier to handle in that sense. But I think people imagine that this type of training, like the clubs or maces or sandbags, it's like for specific people. like those people who look like strongmen, like they have a big belly and they weigh like 200 to 300 pounds, just like massive people, like those are the people who should be doing that type of training.
Or they are only interested in like doing some like flow swings.
Precisely. Or then you need to be this like a training hippie, like doing this like some flowing or whatever you see on the internet. But this isn't the case at all. Like this, I think what I actually want to bring into the fitness circle, what we're trying to do, even with the Iron King method, is like I want to bring this stuff to the people, just to your average Joe, because this shouldn't be like for just some.
And not just for every Joe, but this should be something every martial artist should be using, and every athlete also.
Yeah, precisely.
Like no matter the level, whether you're beginner or professional, like the highest level. Like I think this has benefits for like this will be one of the secrets for our performance in martial arts, like for sure, because this is like one of the biggest things we have discovered and we have developed in many years, like over 3 years or 4 years. So, and the benefits has been, like I said, like I feel so much more confident and so much more capable in wrestling and grappling because I finally have so much more support and strength in my hip areas. And before I already had a lot, but now it's like, now I'm talking about going from good level to elite level, like going from good to great or from good to excellent. Like it's really going levels above. And I could have never achieved this with any other form of training because I was already doing the other forms of training. Like only in less than 1 year, I went from not being great at many things to really at least feeling that I can now improve to the highest level. Like it's really can be the difference between good and excellent.
It is like this constantly feeling that you are increasing. I would say increasing the readiness of your body, the preparedness of your body, and the potential of your body. All of this stuff is what get increased. Like you feel like now you can achieve, because of this training, like you can achieve another level in some sort of sports, martial arts, or even strength training.
Yeah,
like in different sectors, you just open up this road. It's not like this is the end point necessarily, but it opens up. I feel like it's a new pathway in the potential, and every single method we have so far, whether it's the movement or the athlete or the warrior, and even the Qigong, this was all like huge realizations. Like this is now what maybe the fifth but one of the biggest, like you said, now in many years, that is also, it has the same impact, like a dramatic impact in increasing the potential of the body.
Yeah, for the longest time, I hit like plateau in my chin-ups, in my deadlift, in my all these exercises. I didn't even want to train them, and I haven't been training them for a very long time because I could see the wall and I couldn't break through the wall. I could see it's like my limit, and for many years I didn't give up, but I just didn't really even bother to try to get better. But now, because my grip and forearms have gone to so another level, that I feel like I can make incredible progress in the weight room or in the calisthenic exercises like I've never could before.
Yeah, and part of it that is that we have already, even the background that we have, like what you need to understand is that even now training with this for a year or so, it's still just kind of the beginning. But already during this 1 year, like we have learned fundamentals, we have learned like basic stuff, and then we have also developed it further now already. But there's still a lot of time. Like I feel like there's still a lot of levels that we will even realize with these bags and clubs and maces. Like it's still increasing all the time. Like, and so one of the reasons why we've even gotten so good benefits and results with this equipment is because we already have like a long background in the training, and we have this kind of body awareness and knowledge. And this is what we have actually applied into the club and mace training. So we've been able to, within 1 year, we've been able to like take this into a very high level. Like this isn't the stuff that you see like regularly people doing, like just carrying or something. We have multiple different exercises that we developed, multiple different ways, and we combined this with our previous knowledge of the human body, which was already like on a very in-depth level. So the equipment just kind of like comes on top of that, and it has. I think this is the reason why it has created. Is like we come together with the equipment. It created something that was extremely beneficial. Like we actually learn to utilize this equipment so that they will produce the results in the best possible manner.
Yeah, it's like it feels like it was one aspect that was missing for a very long time, and what is missing from almost everyone's training, whether you are like a powerlifter, powerlifter or bodybuilder or fitness guy, or whether you are more into movement and calisthenics, like you don't have the benefits of this style of training at all. And like what was missing was really the ultimate, like the highest level grip, forearm and arm development, and in many ways shoulder as well. Of course, it's not, you are not going to develop every aspect of your body and every like the element or function of your body. Like everything has their role. Like movement training exercise is very important for limberness and opening up the body and developing coordination and the movement ability. And athlete training exercise is very important for refining movement and refining the joint articulations and developing the basic athletic skills and the mobility, stability, and everything else. But what this is, and Qigong is more for the internal health, but what is these tools? Like, it's not just one tool, it's like all of them. It's really the method and also the combination of all these different tools that are really awkward and really dynamic and really ballistic and really different, that really develop the certain parts of the body like never before.
Yeah, and I think this is like really, like you said, this is training that has been kind of missing from people. I think it is also training that people are like literally would like to have and like to try. Like people are kind of trying to search something, because I know there's tons of people who they're like, well, I wouldn't really like to do just the regular gym training, or I'm not so interested, you know, but they would like to still get results from training. They like to build up their body, but they don't want to do it with just like doing the bench press and normal squats or something like this way. And I think like this is like a great alternative for people who'd like to build the body, like get like some serious results, even in the muscle, like tone, muscle tissue, size gain, and at the same time get like really like actually functional benefits. Like there's always the word like functional, you know, you can throw it around, what is functional, what is not, but like for me, this is functional because it really helps you. Like you become confident in doing things in the real life. You become really confident in doing things outside of the gym, and it can be your everyday life, or it can be, you know, your sports or martial arts or whatever it is. But this is what it actually gives you, and this is also what I've been looking for. I mean, for many years, even before doing any club training, mace training, I was always emphasizing that I actually want to get my body better as a whole. I'm not just looking for the bulky muscles or something like this way. It's not something I'm actually interested solely, because it doesn't, like, I don't feel good in my body. I don't feel myself, and I don't feel confident with just big size. That is not something I'm looking after. And I think there's tons of people who are also waking up to this reality that it's much better to have like real, solid, rigid functionality in your body, and then also have the muscles and the looks on top of that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, this Anatoly, the cleaner phenomenon, because I love those videos, because they make like these really massive, jacked dudes kind of look silly. Because if you don't know Anatoly, he's like some YouTube guy who just goes to the gym and lifts, like he's very small, or not small, but he's like average looking guy and not jacked or swole at all, but he's able to lift like insane amounts of weight, and he just goes to these really big, massive powerlifters and bodybuilders and just ask if he can lift the weight, and then he lifts it up like super easily, while being like this very normal looking guy. Mm-hmm. So in many ways, this is also showing that people, when you have the kind of like this steroid powerlifting, bodybuilding guy, and then you have this really functional guy side by side, people can immediately see that the functional guy is the higher level, even though he doesn't have the same appearance. Like when it comes to really like the highest level in anything, it's always the real deal is always the better. Mm. and only if you cannot get the real deal, you settle for the which looks like the real deal, but it rarely is.
Yeah, and this Anatoly guy, I mean, if he took his shirt off or something and you saw him in real life, I'm sure he would look
he
like
looks
a freaking beast.
amazing. Yeah, but he's like not swole.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but the swole people are like they want to constantly like look like something. Like, do you have this? Like, if you're not like pumped, then you don't feel like enough. Like, you need to have this permanent pump in your body and have this like a bulging, I don't know, round like a balloon type muscles or something. But I think it's different. Like I enjoy sometimes, you know, that it's not so obvious. It's not like necessarily so obvious that there's some muscle there. But then once you flex something or your muscles or you do something with your body, then it becomes, all of this becomes like visible, because the body isn't supposed to be like constantly this pumped up thing. If you have a normal physique, natural physique, and even if it's a high level bodybuilder, it's not like constantly looking like some kind of like this huge, swollen being.
And the most interesting thing for me is that, let's say I already had quite high level of confidence in myself when it comes to like physical capability. But after this, like after 1 year of training and getting to a much higher level in this functional thing and practical thing, I've never felt more proud of myself. I never felt more confident in myself. And we know lots of like bodybuilders and powerlifters and these gym pros guys, but we also know lots of fighters. And there's like a day and night difference. Like all these guys who are in the gym, they always wish they could fight. They always wish that they could have like the functional strength and everything else. And then when you see this mixed martial arts, like pro fighters or like this, they are always the most confident, the most calmest guys ever, who have nothing to prove. Like it's very interesting, because if you train very well and develop this real skill and the strength of functional strength, your confidence just goes high and you have nothing to prove to anyone. And likewise, if you get really good at fighting, your just confidence just goes up and up. And for us, it's like, it's not just one. For us, it's the mixed martial arts, but also the clubs and mazes and this functional training that's really just, because in the end, what we are maybe all looking for is that we feel confident in ourselves and we are proud of ourselves. And that's what I feel more than ever before now, that I feel confident in my ability, in physical ability, and also I feel proud of what I have accomplished.
That's very interesting, like psychological development in a sense.
Yeah.
But the confidence is an interesting thing. It's true. And like we said, if you have an actual capability and you know your body and you have this like real capability to do something with your body, then it's true. Like in that sense, the looks kind of lose a lot of the effectiveness, because you're no longer like tied into that. You're not trying to show to other people, like you said, you're not trying to prove that you are, because you just know, like, you are what you are. Like, I am that I am.
Yeah, you know you are the real deal, so you don't. It's like the same with, let's say in Dubai, with like lots of rich people. If they don't have lots of money, they want to prove to everyone that they have. But the really wealthy people, they look like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or these guys who don't show off at all, because they know what they have.
And it's very funny that, like you mentioned, we know some fighters here, and even we were just training with this really great like UFC veteran Nadine Taleb. I hope I pronounced it correctly. But like this guy, he's a killer. Like we were sparring with this guy, and he can totally dominate us for sure. Well, we are learning now from him. But like he's like the top of the highest like level. Like UFC is like one of the highest level in these fight sports. So, but this guy's also demeanor and like this humbleness that comes out of many fighters. It's very interesting, because it's at the same time, even though they know that they're good, like you know that you're good, but somehow, because you're also more in touch with reality, and you know, you win fights, you lose fights, you have different opponents, like you have very good touch with reality. And when you have good touch with reality, it's there's like certain calmness, and it's not that, you know, and the meekness comes from the fact that you know also that like you're not actually a Superman. Like you are, but you're also not. It's a real weird, like a paradox. I don't know how to actually probably maybe explain that, but this kind of that you don't need to try to how to say
Prove.
Yeah, prove and make yourself like above people or somehow like this way. Yeah,
because
really,
because I have lots of friends who are really into gym and bodybuilding and powerlifting. They somehow they always have this urge to tell me like how much they can lift and urge to like show me how much they can lift.
Right.
Like it's like I don't care. Like it's fine if you can lift heavy. It's very impressive, but it's very interesting. Yeah, because and that's like a sign of that something is lacking, because we don't like if we show something, it's more for the purpose of like maybe promotion or maybe showcasing or teaching something, but it's not for our own or ego or our own personal confidence. Like it's not like we have to show everyone that I'm strong. Like it's just because we, especially now, we know what we're capable of, and we know we have something.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to like demonstrate your strength, and you know, some people get also inspired by that. And like you said, of course, we need to like put out videos and share stuff because
but it doesn't come from the like we have to prove to others.
Yep, or it's a different intention.
Like look at how strong I am.
Yep, it's totally like it
different intention.
Yeah, different intention. It can like it depends on where it's really coming from, and I mean, in the beginning, I had this. I had to actually overcome precisely this thing of proving. Like then it was like that because I didn't have the confidence in the beginning when we were even starting like Vaha Fitness and the YouTube. Like I was still quite uncertain of myself, even though I was able to do crazy stuff and I was lifting big heavy weights then and do these skills. But I was like very insecure about myself, and I was constantly comparing myself to other people because all I thought that mattered was these weights and other stuff actually.
But it was only destroying our bodies. Like the training we did before, we started training like movement 20x, athlete 20x, warrior 20x, Qigong, and now Iron King method. Like only now it's like one program, one step after another. It's like just more physical confidence, more physical, I wouldn't say pride, but
maybe
not pride, but just feeling proud.
Yeah, it's pride.
And not even in a negative sense, just feeling like
certain like maybe accomplishment, like I don't know actually. Yeah,
fulfillment,
fulfillment maybe is a better word. Yeah, pride can be.
Yeah, it's a negative thing.
Usually
but being proud of yourself is a positive thing.
But it's main like yes, you find certain contentment. Like you're happy to be yourself. Even that is just I guess part of it. But yeah, it's a bad cycle. I mean that proving stuff, because the more you then try to prove yourself, usually the more you then ended up breaking your body, and then the more you want to prove to other people that you're strong, because you're just getting worse and worse, and then the more you feel you need to prove, and it's just this like really bad cycle. Whereas you just need to like step away from that completely, and that's actually what we did. That's what I did, and why we are even in this journey in the first place. Like, it was this realization that actually overcoming the ego, how we were even able to relate to other people. Like this is the reason why I can I don't see myself I'm this greatest like athlete or something somewhere high up. You know, of course I have abilities, but I understand also that there are people who, you know, whether it's starting, and people who have maybe injuries, people who have pains, people who have aches, like, because I've lived through that. And if I had not experienced all the weakness that I did, I would not be able to even relate to other people. And this weakness, in a sense, is the base through which everything got developed. And this weakness is where even Bibles, they say that the strength is perfected, or the power is perfected in the weakness. And this is the kind of the reality that actually maybe that I was trying to explain, where also the humbleness comes from. And also the factor that, you know, or maybe why I wouldn't use the word pride is because I feel like everything is still like, even my ability to train myself is kind of what I've been given to me. Like, yes, I did the work and I trained, but the ability to do the work was something that was like, in a way, given to me. Like, it was there. I didn't create this ability to do this work. So it's like it all comes from somewhere, in a way, higher up. But yeah, this has led to this project of developing the strength in the body.
And it has, and the last addition is this. It's a combination of mace, club training, sandbag training, and not just the regular sandbag with the handles, but like the round sandbag with no handles. It's just very hard to grip, and also all these old school training methods and old school strongman stuff we have been studying for over 10 years, and we have now. All of this we have combined in the Iron King method.
Yeah, we are actually truly like combining actually, because we have
because
over
it's
10
the same
years.
Thing,
yeah, but the old man strongman stuff and I mean the old school bodybuilding stuff. This is what we did like very in the beginning. That was like one of the first things that I got seriously into. And now this is the new stuff. Like we're kind of bringing together part of our training history and the newest kind of future that we tried. Like those are kind of what we're actually bringing together, which is quite interesting in the sense what we're doing. But the bodybuilding or the old school method is something that we'll probably talk about more in another podcast as well, because there's a lot of things there also that
and all this stuff like the Iron King method and Movement 20XX and all this stuff, like we never like. It's been a very long time since we released a new program, because we don't just release new stuff like this, because it takes a very long time to research and develop these exercises and methods. And we also only release stuff that really has been the most impactful for us, because otherwise we would be releasing like programs every year for many programs every year. If you just wanted to release like a new program for money or a new program for whatever. But we really care about, for us it's always about the craft, always about the method.
Yeah, because the releasing a new program for us, it's not like just releasing like a new flavor of a cookie or a new flavor of a burger. It's you don't just add flavor. This the whole thing is like changed. It's a completely like new thing.
This whole approach, how we training this method and how we approach training in this method, it's the complete opposite of the mainstream way of training, but also many times the complete opposite of the previous training we have done. Is like the whole mentality and the whole approach is the complete opposite. Like you will be like thinking everything in a different way.
Right. It's very true. Like the framework of training changes, and people are like, well, this is like, and this is what I also like. Like the people can't really put us in these brackets, which we always say, like we have limitless training. You can't put us into this box of one style. Yes, I do a ton of like this movement stuff and bodyweight stuff, but this is a whole different area. This is equipment. This is actually weightlifting, but with these kind of functional objects. And it's a totally different framework. But also, it's still the values, our core values are always there. They always travel with us. And that is something like, we still emphasize health, we still emphasize posture, we still emphasize like smart quality training. Nothing changes with that. And this is what I also wanted to bring to this, because we do some strongman training here, but we don't let the ego get in the way even there. We still are smart about the training.
Like, this is actually the most ego training. No, not really, but it elevates your ego the most, because you just feel so much more sense of power. Like nothing, like let's say when you get limber and pain-free and like this, you really feel this sense of freedom. But when you develop your grip strength and forearms, like suddenly everything you do with your hands, how you manipulate external weights, how you manipulate external objects, like even people, it's just suddenly you have so much more strength, so much more power, so much more control that it even can elevate your ego.
Probably,
but in a more like a practical sense. But in a way, you feel more powerful, and that's one of the really amazing things about it.
There's probably is some type of ego boost from that, but I'd say like usually if it's an ego boost, it means that there's something
wrong,
lacking there behind. Like in this ones, you're actually it's real thing that you get is you don't build just a shell or some facade or that you look strong or something like this, but you actually really build the body. So in this sense, maybe it's not ego, but kind of like maybe being.
But what I said, like ego in terms of feeling powerful and feeling very capable.
Yeah, but not just yes, okay, the feeling counts, but it's not just feeling, but you actually are. It's you
exactly,
feel because
exactly.
you really have the thing behind there. Like it's like always we talk about it's not just looking the thing, but you're also like being the thing, and it's always the best way to do it. Like build yourself from the inside out, so to say. Right. So this is the new passion that I have, and it's such a big passion that I really like. This is why we also wanted to share this stuff with people. Like even you don't. Like you just get yourself like a club, get yourself a mace or some of this equipment, and I'm like super happy if you do that because you will like just be amazed by actually what it does to your body, and I mean this like you'll be surprised. Like you need to have a bit of faith because maybe you're still like clubs or maces. Just try it and then you see it for yourself what it actually does. This was for me. I had the curiosity, and hopefully we are able to make other people also just curious about trying them. People who are interested in their performance or interested really having functional strength and interested in perhaps growing their physical confidence also to a completely new level. So like this, I feel like this passion is still going on. And even in the beginning, I said like this is kind of an addiction. I just want to keep training them. And we are already like develop it in a very high level. And I feel like just going to keep training and developing it even further from this point onwards.
Yeah, and we will be sharing more of this stuff,
yeah,
like more and more, because now this will be the focus
for sure,
at least for I think a long time probably.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We haven't shared that much even the training that we do with them.
Yeah, almost nothing actually.
Yeah, but now I think that's
like now it's only starting. Like now we only because we have been doing this behind the scenes and stacking information, stacking exercise, stacking videos, stacking everything.
Yeah, because you don't want to share all the stuff immediately, but now we have so much stuff now that we've built and the level here that you just got to put it out there and hopefully you guys enjoy and get along with it.